As a broke student, we're always looking for a way to make quick money without having to do anything you're not okay with. I've filled out online surveys, tested products for small amounts of money, and done jobs for friends and family to gather a little extra cash. I filled job applications out like you wouldn't believe, but you probably would believe that it ain't easy to get a job with little to no experience when you're fresh out of high school and straight into college. My parents gave me money during high school, and truth be told, I'd rather have been hanging out with my friends outside of school than looking for a part-time job. So I ended up in college and experienceless. I am rooming with my friend from high school, Kate. Kate was pretty much in the same boat as me when it came not to having experience and finding it hard to get a job. We were Google searching how to make money fast, since despite both of us being from pretty well-off families, we didn't want to have to depend on our parents for money whenever we wanted it. We came across a blog that had some pretty bogus ideas, but some okay ones too. The one that caught our eyes was selling things we didn't want anymore on eBay for some quick cash. We figured we had plenty of stuff we could sell for a decent amount, so we both put some items up for sale and waited around. Honestly, money came in quicker than I would have thought. It wasn't huge amounts, but given we were living together and could share appliances like hairdryers and straightening irons, we had no problem selling the spares. We made enough money within a couple of weeks to be able to take a break from it and go and spend our newly earned money. We were browsing the homepage to see if there was anything we fancied. Hey, Kate nudged me. I wonder what the weirdest shit that's been sold on here is. I let out a chuckle. Let's find out. We clicked through the ads until we came across one ad that caught both of our eyes. My breath in a jar. Buy it now. $79.99. Kate and I looked at each other and burst out laughing. I wonder if anything like this had sold before. So I typed in breath in jar, clicked search, and filtered the results to sold items only. When I say I was shocked, that's a gigantic understatement. There's pages of this sort of thing. People claiming it was the breath of celebrities, their own breath, you name it. One had sold for $400 that the seller claimed was a celebrity that had died a month or two prior. We had a good laugh at it all before a stupid thought popped into my head. I bet someone is willing to pay me big bucks for my soul on here. I laughed. Kate snorted, shoving me. You're serious? Dude, you have to post this. It would be the funniest thing ever. I shot Kate a smile and got to work on the ad. Soul for sale. 19-year-old girl. Once you hit buy, it's yours for all eternity. $50,000. No refunds. Kate let out a gasp. Anna, she started. $50K? Come on. What? I giggled. A soul this great don't come cheap. She rolled her eyes, spewed about some shit about why nobody was going to pay that much, and after a few days, we pretty much forgotten about the whole thing. 2 nights ago, at around 1 a.m., we just finished watching a movie and we got into bed. We were chatting in the dark and getting pretty tired when my phone vibrated from the nightstand. I picked it up, looked at the notification and screamed, dropping my phone on the floor beside my bed. Kate jumped out of bed, picking my phone up off the floor. She too let out a scream when she read the notification. PayPal, $50,000. I looked at Kate, who stood there in silence, staring at me. That has to be a joke, right? It's not real. Surely, it's not. She passed my phone back to me. I went onto my PayPal account, clicked my balance and hit withdraw. Then a notification popped up from my bank app. $50,000 received from PayPal. I screamed again. I showed it to Kate. She screamed again. Campus security knocked on our door a few minutes later, asking if we were alright. We assured him that we were fine and sat in our beds, just looking at my bank account balance. I don't know what time we fell asleep, but eventually we did. Yesterday, I woke up and Kate was already up and dressed. "Come on, sleepyhead." She pulled the blankets off of me. "Shower and get dressed. We've got some shopping to do." I groaned and got out of bed. "There's still a pandemic, you know." I sighed. "Okay, the mall is open and we have masks. Come on." I sighed again, and eventually after some persuasion, jumped in the shower, got dressed, and we left the dorm room to head to the mall. Kate was so full of energy. She even had a spring in her step. As for me, I felt nothing. I put it down to me being tired, so when Kate asked why I seemed so grumpy, I gave her the excuse I was giving myself. I bought so much shit. I bought a new laptop for school that I desperately needed, but that didn't satisfy me. I bought so many pairs of shoes, so many outfits, so much makeup, but I still wasn't satisfied. Kate was in her element all day. I, on the other hand, wasn't. I just wanted to go back to our dorm. The time finally came to go home, and for the first time all day, I felt somewhat happy. Happy it was over. When I got back to the dorm, my parents called me and I couldn't wait to get rid of them. I hadn't seen either of them for over a month by this point, but I was glad of it. My dad was halfway through telling me he loved me, and I hung up, making a gagging noise. It was from that moment that I felt like something was wrong. I've always loved my parents and talking to them, but now I couldn't stand the thought of them. "Hey," I turned to Kate, who was trying on her new outfits. "Do you think that person really bought my soul?" Kate let out a loud laugh and checked herself out again in the mirror. "Dude, come on. Do you really think people were selling famous breath? You're being stupid." I felt as though my blood was burning inside of me. I hated what she just said. I hated her. "Yeah, and you're being a bitch," I snapped. "Hey." Kate turned to me, hands on her hips. "What have you got your underwear in a twist for? Maybe you need some sleep or something. Jeez. Maybe you need your throat slit." Kate looked at me in what I can only describe as shock and a little fear. She took a small step backwards and stared at me without saying a word. I'm sorry," I mumbled. "I didn't mean it." Truth is, I did mean it. Something came over me, and in that moment, I really meant it. She stood there for another second, staring. After what felt like fucking forever, she finally spoke. "What's gotten into you, Anna? Why are you acting so weird today?" I shrugged my shoulders and stood up, heading towards the door and leaving Kate stood in our room, completely flabbergasted. I went to a nearby store and bought some supplies, before heading to a park to sit there for a while. When I finally arrived back to the dorm, Kate was asleep in her bed. I walked slowly over to her and took the box of razor blades I bought out of my bag. I stared at it for a while before looking down at Kate, when something caught my eye from beside me. The mirror that was on the wall facing Kate's bed was showing my reflection, standing over my best friend with a razor in hand. I watched, completely still, as my arm and my reflection moved and ran its fingers over the sharp end of the razor blade. Blood trickled down from its finger, and my reflection raised its arm and sucked it off. I was frozen. I could taste my blood. My reflection leaned over Kate's bed and dug the razor into her neck, quickly pulling it across her neck. Blood spilled everywhere as Kate's reflection twitched and jerked and tried to stop herself from bleeding. I looked down to my best friend beside me, who was sleeping soundly, unharmed. Kate's reflection stopped convulsing, and my reflection raised the blade and pulled it across its tongue. I could taste the blood again. My reflection walked forward, and I followed, standing face to face with myself. "This is the beginning," my reflection whispered, blood trickling out of my mouth as it spoke. I stared into its eyes. They were cold, black, soulless. I shut my eyes tight, and when I opened them, I was looking at myself again, my real self. I stared into my eyes for a few seconds, noticing that there was a dark black ring around the outside of my iris, and I think it's very slowly growing. This morning I checked it again, and it's slightly bigger. The scariest part of all of this is that when I was watching my reflection kill my best friend, part of me enjoyed it. I thought it was a joke. I thought for sure I'd get an email from whoever this was demanding their money back. But 30 minutes ago, they left a 5-star review on my eBay page. I sold my soul on eBay for only $50,000, and I need to get it back. Shout out to my superfans, Sweet Black Swan and Tacy. I really appreciate you guys supporting my channel, and I look forward to creating more content for everyone.